Oh, somewhere. It was exactly 6 months after.
The time is 6 o'clock. I call the April 8th Board of Selectmen meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh,
Read minutes, make a motion that they be approved as written.
I go with him.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the March 25th minutes. Was there any discussion on
I think we had enough discussion at that meeting.
this? All right, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
I will say one thing, I didn't have time to go to the tax season and markets going on. But I did do the GPT search on avian flu, and it seems in most of these places, they incinerate, not compost. And the big concern is contaminating water. And point out to the state, that's all ledge,
Yeah, I
so it's only gonna run downhill
Yeah.
into the aquifers
They've been told.
And Bailey Pond.
and Billy Pond.
Yeah. they've been told.
So
Okay.
We've done the public safety budget.
I think Joey's got all of that.
I think he's coming.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the phone.
You're surprised.
hey, chief.
What's going on?
Just on time. We just went to and public safety budget.
Go. No.
So you're on.
We're on, that's soon. Hello. We're here as we've had conversations, we've had conversations, Tracy, for a while now. We, like every other fire department in the area, are at a point where it's getting critical.
Mhm.
We have no new volunteers coming in. Safely say we've probably taken in 8 or 9 different applicants in the area. And they show up once and you don't see them again when they find out what's entailed. I don't think people have any idea what it takes to be an EMT. They have no idea that you gotta go to, fire school, you gotta get your firefighter 1. You just can't join and be a good old boy. You've gotta have some type of a talent, whether we train you to direct traffic, train you EMS, or we train you in the fire side of it. The majority of our people are 50 years old or older. The young people that we have in the department, it's hit and miss. They got something better to do, we're not gonna see them. And it's to the point now, we've even hired out our training, our monthly training site, they're bringing in Back to Basics, which is a training group out of Thompson area. And because you gotta have good training, it's gotta be structured, it's gotta have a lesson plan, it's a lot. And for the volunteers, I mean, we haven't filled the captain's position in a couple of years. Nobody wants to do it because it's a lot, it's like an extra job. So bottom line is, I've got about 4 EMTs that are basically keeping that ambulance alive right now, plus the day staff. And they reported on several times that we gotta do something. And it's hard, my age, and as you get older, getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you gotta be at work at 7 in the morning, isn't happening. Unless it's a serious call, I'm not getting out of bed, I can't do it anymore.
I think I've asked you guys before, but for the EMTs, do you take the, there's, the health tech kids at the tech schools, that they get their CNAs at 16? Do you guys take the EMTs to start that young? I think someone told me that they could in the state.
Be 18, you gotta be 18, I do believe, to find the bus, yeah. But I do know, I think that'd be awesome if somebody could mention why the trade schools don't offer public safety, career paths, EMT,
Right.
firefighting, first responder, police officers,
Right.
police department, which is a paid job, can't get candidates.
Right.
That's fact. State police says, would they have a class of what?
Well,
Huh?
12.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. They can't even get good candidates. I know a kid that got accepted into the state police, not once, but twice. And I was like, are you kidding me?
So,
It's bad.
so what are you proposing?
I'm proposing that we need to start going 7 days a week with paid staff. Because people just don't want to give up their Saturdays.
Yeah.
We're getting a call, we're responding to Gristle as much as we're responding to Volantown. They have American Ambulance there and you know, they're there to make money. So any call that comes along, even if they've got to move that ambulance to another area, they're doing it.
Mhm.
You know, they can't have it sitting there waiting for a call. So we gotta have some type of a coverage. Volantown, we go all the way to the North Stonington line, all the way up to, we border Plainfield and Sterling, you know, Hell Hollow, Bailey Pond, you know, that's the far end of Rhode Island, as you know. And we go all the way to, you know, Bristol Preston line. I mean, we have a big area out here. And it can't be just bringing in an ambulance. These folks have got to be able to cross man because it's all great until you have a fire. Canterbury, down in Canterbury, they just staffed their ambulance because it was inexpensive to put just EMTs. And people were having a fit. They were showing up to fires, sitting there watching the house burn down. Guy that I know sat there and watched his van with all his tools in it burn up because they didn't have anybody. So we have to do, whatever we do, we gotta be able to do the cross spanning. So if a wreck comes in, they can get the rescue truck or a fire truck there, depending what the call is. I mean, Saturday, we had 2 structure fires, which was, I think, in my whole history of being in the fire service is the first. One came in right before lunch and the other one come in right around dinner time.
Yeah.
And Volantown was probably the first guy through the door on both of them, wasn't even in our town. And the other town didn't have any help there at all. I mean, their fire truck the other night on a Saturday night was the last one there.
So you're recommending for the next budget year, for the day staff, we do 7 days instead of 5.
Yep, and I'm recommending that we gotta come up with some plan, whether it's pay to play. I don't know, I mean, we have a very generous to get in the back of the ambulance. Very generous, I wish they had it when I was young, but $75 during the daytime. And it's 150 at night, and it's still not getting out, so it's not about the money.
For when you respond to calls in other towns,
Yeah.
is there a chargeback? Do we get money back from the other towns?
No.
No, that's just,
They don't charge us either.
okay, just,
The ambulance, there is billing.
Yeah.
Now, talking with Tom Main, he's been doing a lot of work with Salem. We do not go after the people in the town of Allentown. We send out 3 bills, which is required by law, and we take the insurance side of it. And if somebody doesn't have insurance, we make the decision whether we want to, you know, dismiss the bill. And that's what we do for the Volantown. And then the people that are involved in car accidents or get hurt out in the state forest, if they don't pay, we send them to collections. But, we don't, in Volantown, we just dismiss it. And what Tom was describing that is if you send them, if you have them go after them a little bit, people will come back to the table. Some people get the check from the insurance companies and keep it. So he said we probably increase our money a lot if we started doing that. But we promised the taxpayers when we started doing that, we wouldn't do that. But times changed. It's something we can look at. I'm going to FDIC tomorrow in Indianapolis, which is the largest fire department instructors conference. And there'll be other folks there that we can talk to, see what's out there, what other towns are doing. I've talked to you about regionalization, maybe getting hooked up with other towns, but unless you stop putting paid staff in, like, you, for example, like we talked that night, put paid staff in George City, put paid staff in Volantown, but, and then it's split it up with, you know, per capita. If we go to half a Bristol today, you know, and then you know, where's the population there? And then build it that way,
Yeah,
but
do it
it's still,
tax district
it's
or
still
something.
extremely expensive. And we get squat for money.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, just a quick question. Was examining your thinking, you know, 50 years ago, you were 15, right? Your dad was a young man, still running the department or anything else. There was an informal recruitment process where you were in the fire department, brother was in the fire department, there were Rob Rupel, you know, wanted to get in the fire department, John Gillo, so forth, because it was the thing that the other one did at the time, right? There's no longer a pipeline like that anymore, right?
That is a whole generation that's missing.
Right, and so what I was wondering is, would there be any merit to the idea of just trying to promote like a, what do you call it? Fire cadets or something? Start them in elementary school and maybe in the high school, you get them into the EMT program, because Griswold used to offer an EMT class. And, you know, just, I mean, it's not like Boy Scouts, you know, and actually, you know, pay these kids to do the training, so forth, so on. And I realize it would take almost 5 years for these kids to get old enough where they could ride in the back of the bus at
The
18.
young kids are not interested. I work where I work, I have people, and Neil's in the same boat as I am because he does the fire apparatus repair. So we get to see, I have people that work for me from Thompson all the way to East Line. And they're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, no, you hear it everywhere.
The kids are not interested.
They're all playing with their phones.
They're all playing with their phones. And the kids that we've hired, they've been to Willimantic Fire School, or they've been to different classes and stuff like that. And they still can't figure it out. I'm not kidding. I've seen at least 2 that we've had to wash out.
These are the kids that are gonna pay your social security. I'll be gone with them, so you're all screwed.
We've had, when the town had the car shows and stuff, we've had like our trucks out there trying to recruit. We've got a few, but nothing really panned out. We had a town day, maybe something again to
I
try.
think they're having it in September this year.
But every town, it's not just Town, it's not just Connecticut, it's everywhere. Are trying the same thing. People say, well, you need to put it up on the sign again. And I say, yeah, we'll do that for the 500th time. These kids my kids all moved on, they're not even in the area. Your kids not interested. Your boys, where are they?
Well, one's in Florida, the other one's working on
Okay.
tugboats, so he's away.
Your kids ain't hanging around. I don't know what your kids are doing.
I have one in Washington or in Maryland, one's in
Yeah,
Rhode Island, and the other one's in Maine.
my father, my uncles, that's where you got me and Martin, that's where you got Eddie Grenier,
Mhm.
you know, Michael Grenier, you know, it was in the families back then. My kids got out. Not interested.
I mean, having had 2 daughters, right? Do you think maybe the girls, 3 daughters? The girls in elementary school wouldn't see this as a cadet program as an opportunity for girl power, because usually we draw the girls and the boys usually get involved, at least by the time we'd be 14.
You'd have to put a structured program together, right?
Yeah,
And have someone run it.
You'd have to have somebody run it. They're not doing it for practice.
sure, I understand.
Again, we're trying to pull all this stuff off. I know for years and years and years, the fire department came first. For me.
Yeah.
And now, as I'm getting older, to me, is,
You're getting old?
yeah, make money and do what I gotta do.
Mm.
And not be chasing the firehouse every single day. And that all sounds great, but these kids, when they come here, in a minute, they find out what they gotta do. And I am all about girl power, you know, I got 2 girls in the military. But
So we'll start with,
Well, this week,
in the 7 days
yeah, that we have to do.
and in the budget and see how that comes out. And,
what's the state doing? I mean, it's not, again, I've said it 3 times, it's not just Valentine.
I know,
What the hell is the state doing, other than it pisses me off every time I see in the news how much money we've spent on migration, and we haven't done a thing for public safety.
right?
I mean, it took somebody kid to get killed up on 49, and now they're in town making, you know, pulling everybody and their brother over, which is about time, and I'm happy they're doing it. but it took somebody to die.
Mhm.
The other night, these guys got their asses kicked going into that fire.
Yeah.
It was him and another guy. I got another guy that's pulling a hose line to the back of the house by himself. The town that it was in, they didn't have anybody showing up right away. Their chief was there, but can't put out a fire, the fire chief.
I'm
When
starting
chief
to
and
talk to
no good.
other first selectmen too, so starting to get word back and see what we can do for.
It's critical, because
Yeah,
it's to the point, we were at the fireman's meeting, I was telling people, what do you wanna do?
yeah,
And everybody's, they're tapped out.
yeah. So, we'll work on
It's,
that.
it's a young man's game.
Is there anybody in the department that's working over in the school now, the way like Fred used to work there?
No. And that didn't work either, because we had several people that worked at the school.
Yeah, don't work hard, but
Yeah, they didn't come out right.
Has the fire department put their budget together yet?
He's pretty much got it
Almost got it.
squared away, yeah.
Okay.
He does a good job, Ryan.
Oh, yep, yep. Cause we're almost ready to put ours together, we're just waiting for
We
them.
were saving a ton of money on turnout gear, which turnout gear for one man right now is $6,000.
Is that
boy, am I in the wrong business?
Yeah.
Uh,
But, we haven't had to buy any, because, I mean, we were easily doing 4 or 5 kids a year going into firefighter one. And then people all moved out of town.
well,
Hey, on an aside, the June City Savings Banks Foundation has got a grant process that opens up from July, I think, to the end of August. If you have any equipment needs, so forth, so on, I've seen a lot of departments put the grant request.
We took our money out of there, so they kind of,
Yeah, I know you did, and that's why they're not increasing their donation that they make, but the grant isn't relative to other business.
we've always gotten it every year.
Yeah, you get the $600, but the departments of bank, they're getting more money. But the grant's a separate thing, so that if you need to turn out here, you know, the fire.
how much does the grant go up to?
Up to $5,000.
Yeah, it doesn't even buy one set of turnout gear.
Yeah, well, for a large amount, you never know. Foundation's done very well, we have $530,000 or $100,000 to do away this round about. So if you got something,
Yeah,
worth writing the
Well-
application, so it's one page, it's not like you're writing.
I don't want to sound brutally honest, but money's not our issue right now.
Yeah, no, I
Money
understand.
is, we gotta get some people in town.
Okay.
Sounding me a lot, folks.
Yeah. Okay,
We hear you loud and clear.
thank you.
So what's our next move?
Well, I said I was starting to talk to other selectmen to see if we're doing anything, to try to do anything regional, it's gonna take some time, it's not gonna happen right away. So we can start with that and see what happens. See if it gets momentum or if it's stopped.
It'll come to a point, the per diem program, it's not perfect, but it works good because
Yeah.
it gives us the ability to hire folks that are working somewhere, so their training is taken care of. You know, the experience, you gotta have time in the back of an ambulance, you gotta have time, you know, on the fire scenes, rescue scenes.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
don't
we'll add
think,
the 7 days.
it's gonna be more than 7 days before you know it.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
That would take a big burden off of all the crap calls. We're now paying guys to get up in the middle of the night, down power lines, nobody's getting up to that anymore. CMP and Eversource, they're taking 4 or 5 hours to get there. I've got one gentleman who's almost 80, or if he is 80. I got another gentleman, Gus, he's 90. So we told him, you come, we're gonna give you the same thing we're giving EMTs.
Mhm.
Because when we had one night, nobody came, they stopped Grizzles. They had one guy show up. You can't be sending people out there in the dark that don't know the area.
Mhm.
You're gonna kill somebody. So I think, you know, we need to start with 7 days a week during the days, but you better think about going 24/7.
Yeah.
And even if it starts off with per diems.
Yeah.
Because full-time's expensive, very expensive, and I'm a taxpayer like everybody else.
Right.
But
That's gotta be, yeah. Okay.
What would the cost, estimate be for per diem 24/7? I mean, for 24/7 employment? If we had to have run a,
well, you'd have to run the numbers.
so the guy benefits, everything else, all in probably what, $90,000?
We don't do benefits with per diems. That's why
Oh, I
we
see.
save money.
Yeah, the
These
per
guys
diem.
all have full-time jobs in firefighting.
Right.
And we cross
They
fan.
sign up shifts.
They can drive an ambulance, they can do paperwork, they can patient care, they can jump in the biggest fire truck we got. You know, they can go to brush fires, you gotta be able to, it's the whole spectrum.
Would be a good idea to find out how much that's gonna be, so we can start to project out in the future.
For the per diem 24 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do that easy enough, but the only thing I'd be concerned is after 30 hours average, then they're considered full time. You know, if you got paid people, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Over and over again, which you just probably would have. to
Well, we
start.
could add, we could
Start
add more,
hiring
we could add
people
more people
full-time.
on.
Right,
Our pay scale is where it needs to be, I think. Because the only downfall of using a per diem is, some of the guys, if, again, somebody, if they're working at work and the guy that's taking his shift calls out sick and they put it out, nobody takes his shift, that guy's being held over. So when they get held over, guess
You
who
what?
takes the beat? We do.
Yeah.
And then we have to put it out. Some mornings, they don't start till 7 o'clock because the guy's coming off a shift and then coming to Valentine.
so we do 10 hours now, if you have 7 days, that's like 192,000 in our budget now, so you double that for 20 hours, so it's probably about 500,000 in the budget. For staff per diem, minimum, and that's not including social security taxes. So you would add more than that.
That's 24/7 per diem.
Per diem.
And that's with no benefits at all.
It's time to sound the alarm. I mean, you need to talk to these people, you need to talk to these politicians.
Mhm.
Stop giving away the money on other things, and you better start looking at public safety.
Yeah.
It's just not Valentine.
Right.
Like I said, I talked to a lot of fire chiefs, so does Zemo.
So in our
Right.
budget right now, if we add the week, the 2 other days, we're at 192 in the budget already, so it'd be adding another 300,000. I'm over it right now.
You have to go 24/7. 192 for 7 days.
Then 192 in 7 days,
Yeah.
10 hours,
Yeah.
so,
I know FEMA, they have different programs. We did it once before, that they'll pay for the first 2 years, but the deal is at the end, you have to hire them full time. So a lot of people stayed away from that, because when that goes away. I don't know if there's anything gonna be coming up there we can look at. I'll be able to see that when I get to Indianapolis.
Have you, gotten to that civics thing yet?
Survex,
Civics, it's the new Demus way to apply for grants, like you have to. They've been sending you all the information for it, because you have to add me
well,
and Julie.
Darlene called, they wanna do that other grant,
Oh, they keep calling me, I told them no.
because it's
That's
not
the
working, by the time you get done
$5,000
with it, what are they gonna give us, $5,000?
Yeah, that's the $5,000 one.
But you
for
have to
any-
match it for
For
5,000.
any of the other grants, they've been sending all the login information to the emergency management person, which is you, so you must have all the information to log in.
That's about the only grant, and years ago when Ronnie was in,
I
we
think they
decided,
do like the FEMA stuff through that too, I'm not sure.
FEMA, I get the FEMA grant,
Okay.
but the thing of it is they're getting harder and harder to get to. We've gotten it, twice already. Fire Act grant,
If you wanna forward me the civic stuff, I can get us in it.
and the thing with the Fire Act grant, the problem with the Fire Act grant is, they like to steer you what is the hot topic, I guess, SCBA's is the hot topic this year. And that's what they're gonna be putting money to. A couple of years ago was to replace turnout gear. So they steer you in what direction they kind of want you to go to.
For the fire budget, are there any capital projects that are gonna be needed?
The only one we would really need to get a hold of is, need to get a big grant for the addition.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we gotta think about maybe purchasing Murphy beds, because we go 7 days a week.
Okay.
You gotta give them a place to sleep. or nobody's gonna, ain't gonna have any help.
How much is that?
For 2 beds, yeah, I mean, you're talking $5,000 probably. And we probably have to change the upstairs from a meeting room to a day room. And then hold our meetings downstairs from here on in, but
For the 7 days,
until we can either get that addition put on,
is the 5,000 for like all beds or just one?
no, a couple of them.
Couple.
And it's a hold up bed. You know, we have guys that'll work, we got a kid that works in New London, if he's assigned to the ambulance, he's running all night. In New London, he comes here, gets his checks done on the ambulance or whatever, and then he sleeps the rest of the day. I don't care because we got somebody here, yeah.
Okay,
But,
Are you still working on things for the ambulance too, or?
yeah, we got some money, but that's coming up, but I gotta have somebody to drive it.
all right.
But that's gonna be a $400,000 bill, and I think we got 100 and something.
Well, we put 50 grand away last year, so we have 50. Are we still putting more this year too?
We should.
When do you need a new ambulance? When is this?
Right now, if you order an ambulance, it takes 2 years to get it. 2 to 3.
So what's the expected lifespan of the current one then?
It should be replaced at any time.
Okay,
It's the box is solid on it, runs good,
Yeah.
looks good,
It's a 14.
and the box on it is 2004, I think.
Yeah.
Because we remounted it to save the town money. We got a hell of a deal that time, but I wouldn't remount it again. And that ambulance was in a $75,000 crash, if you remember.
Yeah.
So that's. Again, staffing. And we gotta do something with training. I don't know if we need to up our program that we have with the volunteers to get them to come to training. Because they ain't worth it. Damn if they don't come to training.
That'll be in like the per year budget, but you, for
Yeah,
that,
we're gonna have to,
okay,
we've been talking about what we think we can do there.
all right. Well, when you know, the sooner what you guys have, so we can figure out, we can't figure out the rest of our budget until we know.
All right, well, one day then we'll get on Ryan, get that done. I think, oh, Ryan's pretty good. He's made all his changes and.
Yep.
What does he need to do?
Probably finalizing.
You guys have to go through that. Okay. Let's see what we got.
That's all the good news I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Ernie.
Yes,
you got the.
Thank you.
Chief, right?
Something like that.
Take care. man.
We got a request from Dave Kimball Health at Home. For $500 for the fiscal year 2025-26, to go towards their assistance of our residents. They have helped they've done 189 visits to Voluntown residents, the past year. They provided 4 free care visits to Voluntown residents valued at $503. They've done 1 chaplain, 5 speech therapy, 3 medical social work, 54 occupational therapy, 45 physical therapy, 36 home health aides, and 45 nursing.
Reimbursed by who?
What?
They're not doing it free.
They're a nonprofit, so they're just asking us to donate, $500.
I'm all in favor of Home Depot, but I'm pretty sure, you know, like my mother was getting visits from,
Jay Kimball?
I don't know if it was St. Kimball or who it was, but
Yeah.
that's all about the insurance or Medicare or Medicaid.
These are, despite challenges such as limited insurance cover, lack of insurance, or low health literacy. These are for people that probably can't get in another way.
Oh, it's for the uninsured or
They're a
underinsured.
nonprofit, community-based program, so. The art,
Do you need a motion?
Are we adding that to the budget?
if they're asking, I'm just reading the mail. So, there are things to consider when we're putting our budget together. For the art.
It's coming.
This was sent from Washington DC. It's just a memorandum about, budget freezes and, funding freezes through the federal government.
Will that affect our bridge?
No, that's not
no.
on the agenda.
Yeah, did we put that on the agenda?
It's not on the agenda, but I have it in my phone.
Okay. That's later.
Oh, good.
Sounds like it's gonna be fun.
I got the water report from, the URI Watershed Watch Program. They test each month, all year long, and then they send us the report. I have the report if you want to read it.
Good
Is
or
it
bad?
good or bad?
It's very scientific, so I'm not really sure. It looks like, everything's moderate or, oh, I
He's a small one.
it's science. They didn't give a cheat sheet for it, so I don't know.
I'm too tired to science.
I sent it to the, so we have it too, so. That is cool. The letter from Connecticut Economic and Community Development, March 27th, to inform us that we did not receive the Community Investment Fund grant that we requested for the planning of the, rec center.
What was that for?
That was $250,000.
What's it for?
I got a letter, email from Gordon Art, about the National Day of Prayer that we did the thing for before. It's the invitation on Thursday, May 1st at 5:30 at the Pavilion.
Mhm.
I have the Apex report for anyone wants to read it.
I got a copy of it in my email.
A letter from the Secretary of State's office. What's new in 2025? New tabulators were procured and are in the process of being distributed statewide. The allocation for each municipality was determined by data scientists based on calculations that include parameters such as the ballot processing time, number of voters, average turnout, new laws, expected law changes, and the life expectancy of each piece of equipment. As when you purchase, the cost is higher. Please know the price to the towns was one of the criteria the committee. I don't know, I think these are the things we got. Six, do we get 6 of them?
Yeah.
Okay. For many years, the Secretary of State's office has been in the process of requesting funding to upgrade of the voter registration system. The funding was received in 2022 and the project began in 2023. The new system in beta testing will roll out in June of this year. The office is currently working to schedule the training of over 1,000 members of the election workforce in the coming months. Please be mindful that these changes, along with potential changes to the early voting law and the adoption of universal access to absentee ballots, will require many hours of training for your election staff. Like last year, this added training is in addition to the usual scope of work. I hope you will factor this into your decisions related to their compensation. So update about election funding. We heard you're concerned about the need to enter into a lease agreement for the new tabulators. We agree. Our intent was always to negotiate the best price and pass the equipment along to each municipality as was done in 2007. However, the state's attorney advised us that the same practice could not occur due to how the law was written. We are actively seeking a law change to avoid the cost of administrative burden of entering a lease agreement. Public hearing was already held, and we are hoping the bill will be called for a vote soon. Many of you have reached out about the cost of early voting. There are several opportunities coming up to provide personal testimony about your experiences, and that was on March 28th. The office is currently expecting less funding from the federal government. Our budget was cut in the governor's budget, and we are waiting the legislature's draft budget in the coming weeks. I encourage you to continue working with your registrars and town clerks to understand the needs and real costs, to share that information with your state and federal delegations. America 250 in 2026, Connecticut and the nation will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Instead of planning one single commemorative event, Connecticut's Planning Commission is encouraging organizations and individuals around the state to make meaning of this anniversary in their own way. Please consider joining as an affiliate. And the good news from Secretary of State. And that's all I have.
So I went to the report that you gave me. Part of it is actually discernible.
Yeah.
Water clarity is excellent. Our chlorophyll is moderate. Can't make it into details of what's going on with the oxygen levels. But what's interesting about the amount of diffused nitrogen in the water, it spikes in the month of July. Of course, everybody's treating their lawns with NPK,
Yes.
nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And it's running into the water, and that's probably what's creating the algae blooms that we're getting.
I have, there's a meeting, I'm gonna talk about this last meeting, but that's segue to, another announcement, that there's a meeting on,
Another meeting.
April 22nd. It's a Zoom meeting, it's during the day at 10:30 because it involves DEEP, members from a whole bunch of different areas to talk about, a drawdown, a deeper drawdown for Beach Pond. And they're gonna talk about what's gonna be, expected of the residents, like permits. And, this is for, not for this winter, but for next winter, because it'll be giving people enough time to, line up contractors and get work ready. And it's gonna be, question and answers with DEP about the process and,
This is on April 22nd, right?
yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Okay.
It's on the website, the information for the Zoom, and, I sent a text alert today, and it's on, social media as well. And spread the word with anyone else before. And the Shred It event is also coming up,
April 26th,
yeah, April 26th,
birthday.
yeah. So spread the word on that too. So.
No bringing spouses down.
Public Works report, I think you had a copy. This, Public Works prepared a report of the snow season. As a summary, there were 14 events and 5, single 3-bus events. That's on, icy mornings. They go out, before the first bus run. The roads are not, icy and are safe of debris. So we make it a point to do that. The snow, the participation this winter was mostly heavy, wet snow, and then ice, rain to ice. Of the non-precipitation mixed with the daily warming created snow and ice melt where the asphalt remained cold, creating ice and more heaving than previous years. So we did have more road heaving than we've ever had in a long time. There was, a salt shortage that a lot of towns were having problems with getting salt, because of the amount of icing. The use of salt was, used more around. We did not have that problem, with the pre-planning, that we had, we were able to maintain, our salt stash without, having problems. The conversion to treated salt, has been a noticeable saver of money, as well as time, and produces less debris. Modern ice methods, anti-ice methods are proving to be effective. The snow ice service delivered was high, consistent and environmentally responsible. We've been, able to calculate, how much material's been dispensed. those are the measurements on there. And other things that was, done for the winter, rebuild, that they're working on now is rebuilding the mower head, replacing broom brushes, equipment conversion from winter operations to summer operations, so the trucks all have to be switched over, and washed and ready for to be used for capacity. Preventative maintenance on the trucks and equipment has been ongoing. We had lighting put on the sign truck, replaced plow cutting edges, turf mower repairs, and road work, currently mowing the right of way extreme location. Post-winter cleanup for any tree debris and litter, and we're working on, the W rail project, one's on Gardner, and the other is on. I can't remember where the other one is, but one of them's on Gardner Road, and that's we're replacing the old post and, wire.
Cedar more.
Yeah, because the ones that we're replacing now, like, it's really hard, we can't find the wire anywhere, so we're just moving them up to the flex rail. The two that are getting replaced now, the wires are totally broken and they're not, serving their purpose, so those are the next. They've been working on preventative, hazardous tree removal and again, the roadside tree.
Keep up the good work, guys.
Executive session.
Yeah, we're not, we're still running with local traffic authority right now.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Public Works,
Yeah,
LTA, and
yeah,
that's where we had stuff to discuss on the bridge.
No, that's more too,
that's in
No, I
Julie's
didn't.
report.
budget.
That's on later. Stop trying to jump ahead.
I-
Uh,
Okay,
the local traffic authority,
Different report, unfortunately.
we had
Yeah,
another
exactly.
Mack truck,
at the bridge,
hit the bridge. We went out and looked at it, there's no damage, but, it's concerning about the Mack truck. I've been talking with, we had a DOT meeting with the bridge yesterday, going over what we're gonna talk about in a little bit. About making it no through trucks. I think that she said, I don't remember what she said. I think it was a no.
What was it, a dump truck?
No, it was a Mack truck.
An 18-wheeler?
Yeah.
Was going down that road.
No, it was going up it.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it got there. We don't know.
Did
So
state police ever bother looking in the back of these trucks to see what's in them?
it didn't, this one actually didn't get stuck. It just like had a hard time making it around the corner, but it
You
eventually.
think? It's a hairpin turn.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's gonna be fixed when the bridge is replaced. It's gonna be a T-turn, not a hairpin turn, so they don't anticipate it being a problem. But the other issue is.
great, we'll have 18-wheelers all the time then.
Yeah, right.
So it's not even feasible, it's like not even feasible to have, the road is just narrow there. I don't know. I'm on the side of doing no through trucks, but it can't be like the truck detour for the bridges and for everything, for like, they're replacing the bridge on Econ Hill. And they're gonna need to do a detour, and they're sending everyone up Pawtucket and down Wiley, which there's also a curve on Wiley that's questionable as to whether it can handle larger trucks.
Yeah.
And most of them don't even go that way, they go through Hamilton. So,
You'd be better off sending the truck through the state forest at this point.
Oh, and while we're on local traffic authority, we're in the right spot, not Voluntown, but Griswold for 3 weeks, 201, not 201, but right at 201, 165, 164, 165, 138. Main Street,
Pick one.
yeah, it's gonna be shut down.
They're gonna close it after the school, so they're not interfering with the buses.
Yes, but there's bridge work that's happening, so
They
201,
started this morning.
138. That, I saw the surveyor started a couple of weeks ago,
They're out there this morning.
but there's a bridge just past 201, that light.
It's
And
actually the culvert that has the truck weight restriction that we've been using to like keep the heavier trucks coming through. They're actually taking that, it's a pipe culvert right now, and they're taking it out and replacing it with a box culvert so it can handle heavier weight, so it won't be,
Oh, thank you, state.
so it won't be weight restricted. So that's going.
so putting in our own speed bumps in front of the school.
On a state road, we good luck with that.
Just won't tell.
So that's, I think I'm gonna look into seeing if there's a way to do a no through trucks anywhere without causing any problem.
You know, what came to my attention up in New Hampshire is the roads there are weight restricted after the winter for some period of time. I don't know if it's a month or two. They limit it to 6 tons or something like that.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the frost heaves on the road. It keeps the roads from breaking down as quickly.
I
I
don't
don't know
know,
what we do that on this street.
probably because they have to, in order to figure out. Cause I've asked this about, like the old bridge that, like the Fort Hill Bridge right now. Has no weight restriction on it because it was built 100 years ago and they can do
Before weight
that.
restrictions existed.
And so.
Before they had weights.
So I asked if they could test, if they could like do a weight restriction, and the cost of it is just like too much, it's not even worth doing, was the reason I got. So in order
You
for
would
them
think
to
that
figure out the weight restrictions on all the roads, like they would never do that, that would cost like a small fortune.
if the bridge is that old and that dangerous, you think it would be restricted just for that reason alone, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Stop the 18-wheelers.
Well, we're talking a bridge that was built 100 years ago. They don't build them like that anymore. It's probably more solid than other bridges around. Much newer.
Yeah.
Where it's lasted.
More solid than the Providence Bridge.
So the executive session,
Yeah.
agent for the elderly, we're not gonna do because we were, we have the position to go out to hire, and we always, when we have stuff like this, if it's like, it was 10 to 15 hours, we look to hire within first, so we offered it to, already existing employees. And it was, not no takers, so, we don't have to do the executive session. We just put the, job out now, posted. So if you know anyone that might be interested, it's on the website and on the, I put it on social media.
Full-time position? or
That was
part-time?
part-time, it's about 15 hours. And now we're on to the finances.
Right, first one is a reallocation of funds, so the school has received 20,699. This was the last reimbursement from the state when we did the oil project.
Mhm.
It started in 2022.
Yeah.
We just now, in December 24, got the last payment for that reimbursement from the state. Since that project is closed, we're gonna close out that fund, and the school requested that it be allocated to
HVAC.
HVAC. So that's what all the paperwork here is. To move the 20,699 from the oil tank, close out the oil tank project and move it to the HVAC for the school.
Okay.
Well, we did 3 of these last time, so.
Yeah.
You know what it's for.
So the intent was if it was in a school project, we try to keep it within, you
Yep.
know, that office or the school project. There's no use for it to sit in the oil tank because it's selling a little. So,
I make a motion to reallocate the funds as described from oil tank to HVAC.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded, is there any discussion on it? No, all in favor?
Aye.
The first time, approved.
all right, now the fun thing, budget. You wanna start with expenditures or revenue?
Let's start with the revenues and then we'll look at the expenses and we'll figure out what our net is.
Well, if you look at the revenues, you can see on the right-hand side, everything's red. So,
Rather than in color.
here's that, isn't it color?
No.
Oh. I didn't know. I thought it, sorry, I'm talking.
Some of us rate and some of
Well,
us.
look at the parentheses.
Exactly.
Everything in parentheses is red.
Got
I
it.
mean, our
Yep.
revenue pretty much is going down just about everywhere. They've changed, the pilot money is going down to 286, they took 60,000, that used to be working with the hospitals and.
Yeah, colleges and hospitals that we got.
Now they're putting it under revenue, municipal revenue sharing. Not really sure why. The only thing that's really going up, so there's, I guess we could start with the Fort Hill Bridge, because this impacts some of the stuff here on the budget. We had a meeting with the Fort Hill people. I believe it's just the contracted piece of the bridge. They're working on trying to get permits, and according to them, because it's, state is doing everything, they said they cannot issue a permit by the state from DEP to the state. Whatever that means. So the town has to now be the one that puts in for the request, so they're, telling us that it's now back to being a reimbursable grant. Which we explained to them at the time, and the whole reason why it went through being fully funded through the state and federal, and the state taking care of everything, we simply don't have a budget or a bank account robust enough to handle $1 to $2 million payment to pay for this bridge at a time. And if you're putting out requests for money from the state for $1 million, we can't carry that amount, you know what I mean? We just don't have it in our checking account. But they're trying to state that, they'll be very quickly with the reimbursements, which I'm doubting. They're saying the most they've waited on.
Check is in the mail.
Was 30 days, and, you know, we can't wait 30 days to, you know, how are we gonna pay our payroll if we don't have anything in the checking account? So their basic response was, well, do you want,
Not our problem.
you want a bridge? That was pretty much their response.
Yeah.
So we borrow the money.
So, exactly. Our only option right now, so Tony and I talked about it, we're gonna start with Centerville, we're having a meeting next Tuesday with Centerville. Just to begin the process to looking at getting a line of credit. Their expenses are gonna start next April, so it does impact this budget. I don't know how quickly we can even get I'm sure we can get the line of credit fairly quickly, but I'm trying to hopefully get some kind of numbers if we have to add it into the budget. Or I'm gonna request that the state put it in and be reimbursed for the interest expense that we have to pay. I doubt they're gonna.
We're getting a free version about the.
They keep telling us it's a free bid, but now we're gonna have to borrow for it, so it's, you know what I mean?
How much is the draw? Do we have to draw the whole thing or?
That's what we're trying to figure out. So they sent me a spreadsheet with the cash flow of showing what the expenses would be and what they expect the expenses each month. From this fiscally from April for the next 2 years. Because it's gonna start next April and finish the following September, October. So it's gonna be two seasons.
How much is the bridge costing us now?
So just that piece, they are estimating 4.4 right now, million. What that's gonna mean in another year, I don't think anybody can predict that right now. We're gonna do the best we can.
Well, there are tariffs and.
Yeah, sorry.
We import everything, so we know what's going on.
Right.
Exactly what I was gonna say, but $10 million bridge, you're going there.
You're not borrowing all the money at one time.
No,
So
we're not
the-
looking at the money, so we're gonna look into try to do a line of credit. We're gonna start with Centerville and then look into other banks as well to get kind of comparative rates. And we don't really need to borrow the whole amount. We just wanna make sure that,
Compare the bill.
you know, we can cover what we
Keep the
need.
lights on.
We do have, obviously, we do have some money, we do have, but we don't wanna find out that, okay, I paid this bill and it's still 30 days and they still haven't paid me back and I
Sure.
need money, you know?
So for clarity's sake, the reimbursement would happen at what time period? 30 days after we submit?
So they supposedly that they're saying that from the time I submit it to, it could be, the longest one, they said, went 30 days. it could be less. I also I've dealt with DOT before, and that was nothing. 6 months later, I'm still fighting for the money.
Sure, all right, so the figure 6 months.
So,
So on a $5 million project, we'd probably have to pony up maybe $1 million. And it wouldn't get reimbursed for 6 months. Or thereabouts.
well, the way they did their projections, they're telling us each month, like there's 500 in April, 500,000 in April that needs to be paid, 400,000 in May that needs to be paid, and then like one of the most expensive ones was 1.2 million.
Mhm.
So if you got 3 months or 6 months, you're at 3 or 4 million, you know what I mean? Like, once you're in true construction phase, you're going through the whole thing.
One of
4.4
the
million.
advantages that works in our favor is when we borrow money from a commercial bank. Since we're a municipal borrower, our interest payments are tax-free, you know,
Mhm,
it's like buying a municipal bond, I think.
mhm.
And short-term interest rates right now, they're still high, you know, the Federal Reserve's overnight rate's 5%. But where the market's gonna go in the next 3 to 6 months, will probably closer to 3 or maybe even 2%. I would think by December, if the economy craters in the stock market, is what it's gonna do. So it will be less expensive than it would be to borrow today.
Exactly.
And it's still a capital investment, so it's worth borrowing the money. You know, you borrow money for a long-term purpose, financing.
So the biggest thing is I don't have any idea of the numbers on that yet, so we may have to add a debt service fund that we don't have because we don't have debt. We have a couple little minor leases, but right now we don't have that. We don't have any bonds, we don't have any lines of credit. So this is gonna basically start the process to see if starting that. So we probably will have to add to the budget some kind of debt service, which may or may not be paid back, but I think we're gonna have to come up with some kind of number. The other side of the fence, it affects our investing policy. So we've worked really hard to be able to invest all the extra we have. This bridge is gonna wipe that out.
Hmm.
You know, we're not gonna be able to invest anything in the summertime, April, May, June, July, you know. In July is when we make most of our money, that's, when, you know, we're gonna make the most investment. So for this budget alone, we took Tony's projections and took out at least the investment just in April, May, because it won't start till next April.
Mhm.
So we still will make some money from now until March. After that, we just took out the money we expected to get for April, May, and June. By the next budget year, we'll hopefully get a better handle on what the rest of that is. So we decreased the amount of money for the investments we were hoping to increase, but that's not gonna be the case. So that's where the whole conversation started on why the investment income here is less than what we were hoping for.
Mhm.
Is what it is. I don't know that.
It is what it is. We need the bridge.
We need
So-
a bridge, yeah. So basically their response was.
We want the bridge.
Yeah. And then a year from now, you're gonna be in worse shape. So the bridge was gonna be put
It's
through.
gonna be more expensive.
So hopefully by the next, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some kind of answer for that before we finalize the budget, but, so basically that's where we're at with the revenues. The school budget right now is at 2.7% going hard right now, and this is before the fire department came in with that 2.8% going up. 274,000 total between the two is an increase. We've also had, revalue, so the reval, went from. I don't know what's down here. Last year was 235,098,000, like 230, over 235 million, we're now at 330 million for assessed value. Is that right?
The 50% increase.
Yeah, it was crazy. So last year, a mill rate was 233,000, now it's going to be 331,000 is what a mill rate is.
Yeah.
So it's increased quite a bit.
The 230 to 330?
Yeah.
We have 233 to 331, yeah, like 100,000, 100,000. What one mill is now. So we're looking at, without the fire department, this is what you guys have. the mill rate going down to 21.98. Obviously, that's not gonna stay that way, because they just asked for 54,000. And I don't have the rest of their numbers, which I'm projecting is gonna go up, so. The biggest, changes in the budget were, the salary survey.
Okay.
Those would be the increases, just a simple little breakdown of what the increases are. Clearville, which I'm working on and meeting next week with, to do some more training on. That's one of the IT increases. The rest of the stuff we try to renegotiate stuff, getting a new website, but it won't really increase the budget. And the other biggest increase is the transportation, with the added driver and new municipal agent. That'll add, some money to the budget as well, but it'll increase services to the town. Our grant for that is 21,000, so we need to match that. So, we should have about 41,000 to go towards. Hopefully rides and stuff for the residents. And workers' comp, no, and insurance is projected to be up 10% this year. Decreases are, we won't have a consultant for the assessor anymore, so that'll save things in there. The diesel's going down, the school, moving to, gas buses. So there'll be less there. Workers' comp, we haven't had any cases. Still knock on wood, nothing happens. We're meeting with him. Our insurance agent is it next week or the week after. So I'll have a better idea, but that should be going down as well. And most of it is now non-lapsing fund, so it's in the expenditures, it's in the revenue, I've taken it out of both, it washes, but it looks like there's an increase. So that's the biggest change, so the budget's going up about 77 before the fire department, is it 70? Change. 74,000 right now. If we add the 54 for the fire department, it's gonna be about 132, I don't know if I have any other. So, with the adding the 54, it's gonna go up. 232,000 and 5%. So that's the basic budget so far.
Well, we still haven't paid our Demon's Road yet.
Yeah, so the next big thing we need to talk about is capital projects. Going through how much we have, we can realistically spend about 300,000 for our capital projects. Of course, we've gotten requests from everybody. We need to sit down and figure out what we're funding. The steep grant is a $200,000 match, and that gets Brown Road done, so we have that. Conway Road, not Brown, sorry. Well, we should know in April here, whether we get that grant or not, whether we have to keep that 200,000 for the steep grant. I have the dog fund has to be funded, so we need a little more money in there. And IT computer upgrade, we have to get a new firewall, or that it's end of life. There's a camera out here, so there's a few minor IT things we need, like this camera out here for the voter box to have to be put on, so things like that. Those are things that have to happen. The rest is, we've had recreation, requests, school requests, and the fire department. So we have about 75,000 more. We need to figure out who we have.
We haven't even hired the blight enforcement officer yet.
Okay, self-funding.
So. What you guys need to decide is, what are we gonna do about the capital project?
We're still waiting for the rec commission and the schools, but we'll to see if they're submitting anything. So I don't think we can decide until we.
Right. But we don't have a lot of money, so you're gonna have to think about how much does the fire department get for the ambulance, how much is gonna go towards rec? If any. How much the school I know has a huge list, of things they need. That are needed like ASAP. So. Yep. So we are, looks great, mill rate's going down 7 mils, but. In reality, the budgets are going up. Right now it's at 3.3% total between the two. It's not terrible, but we're actually lucky.
We're lower than a lot of the other towns are.
Yeah, we're actually lucky we did the revale this year, like for a lot of other towns, their assess rate has gone way down, their assessments are down. And their expenses are way up, because basic expenses, like everybody, Department of Health asked for more, NECOG asked for more, every other agency that we fund has asked for more force. Has asked for more money, the electricity is going up. And the state, we have no idea if they're actually gonna give us even what they told us. And that's already being cut.
Right, and we won't know potentially until October.
Yeah, we may have to pass the budget without knowing whether we're actually gonna get that money.
So what happens if we pass the budget and then we don't get the money?
We have to go back and do an extra town meeting appropriation.
Okay, so you
And
do another
probably
budget.
do a new tax bill.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a nightmare.
We do what we have to do.
I mean, overall, before the public safety, which I think is needed, it's not huge amount of changes. So. Biggest is personnel.
Well, it's, to Jody's point, it's not just Voluntown, but it's also not just the fire department. Along, we've been struggling just to get people to fill all the open positions,
Right.
so.
Well, we've had people calling us to poach our people. Everybody on the town around here keeps calling us and saying, hey, we need tax collectors, we need that, you know, trying to train people, there's just no out there. All right,
Times they are changing.
any other questions?
Nope.
No questions.
Nope, all sunshine and
Road-
Not happiness.
All right, the treasurer's report is attached. You read it.
Mhm.
yeah,
We're still getting investment, so,
for now.
well,
That's good.
Right.
Yep.
Find the reimbursements.
Full business, ARPA fund. No upgrade. So nothing, you know.
Where are we at for the communication system?
It's still, we are not the only town that's stuck right now. There's several towns. We're stuck right now with the, we are putting our radios on the state, broadband system. And that's where we're stuck. The state hasn't, I don't know if they haven't released the access information to the company that's putting the radios in, and we're not the only town that's stuck. There's like several others. They have that are just like us. They have their radios and they're waiting for the permission. So, and
then what happens then when they don't give permission?
I don't know, like,
We have to give that money back to the state,
because,
and we don't have the money to.
it was just mentioned in the public works, list that I'm on. It just came up yesterday, so that's when I found out there's a lot of other towns stuck too, so. I'm
Well, it's
gonna,
all the funds, doesn't it go back to federal?
I'm gonna reach
It'll
out
go back,
to,
yeah.
Senator Summers and Representative Lanu actually, and see if they can get some information on that. The trip grant, I haven't heard anything on the water study. We're working on the, media, getting the media out on that, and we're still trying to figure out a location for the, Bennett Circle one. there's a meeting tomorrow. And then we're on the blight ordinance.
Okay, I read it. Anybody have any questions?
I don't know, were you gonna change anything or?
Nope. It's all good. Might as well tell people this is gonna cost them about $350,000 to $400,000 or whatever we estimate it's gonna be.
Is that
It's
how-
gonna how much?
Figure 350. You gotta hire people, there's gonna be legal bills. It's a mill.
Okay.
Almost gonna be a mill.
You want me to add that to the budget, is that you're asking me to do?
I don't know if you. Would you wanna have
Well,
a
we
town
have to
meeting?
pass the ordinance first. It's an ordinance, so we can't we can't add it to the budget until the ordinance is done.
So then you kind of get in a chicken and egg
Well, I
situation
think,
where. if you pass
last
the-
time we did something like that, you had the
We would have like
Well, on the
two
ordinance.
budgets,
and then underneath that was the vote for the appropriation, but when we did the
police,
police, did you have to vote for the ordinance first and then the police? The money second.
I think that's the way to do it. Just
Yeah.
let people, thumbs up, thumbs down. Plan B might be the same way that, for our friend on, Wiley School Road who was filling up the, culvert with leaves and so forth, so on, put the nice big no dumping sign there. Plan B might be putting up big signs in front of blighted homes saying this property is owned by such and such person as far as you call them. Public shaming is not a bad thing.
so, you guys wanna move the, ordinance to the, town meeting for a vote?
I do, and that way it is, and if the town votes it down, the town votes it down.
Right, but they've had their say and they understand what the expense is. There's no upside without the downside. The downside is just gonna cost. And I expect it'll probably be voted down because the economy is gonna be in the toilet by. budget
Yeah,
time.
so do you wanna bring this up this year or wait till next year when maybe it'll not be.
Or have a special meeting, all right, so.
No, what do you think, so? Just bring it up the year after again, if it gets voted down narrowly.
I think trying to time this with the economic climate for the foreseeable future
Mhm.
is going to be exceptionally tough.
Plus, we may not be on the selectmen's board.
True, it may not be we may be kicking the can down the road to someone, some other one.
But at least then people will know that we were thinking about it and the community voted on it.
I think this year,
Their judgment's
because
on it.
that way it's, because I'm gonna give my honest opinion on this, I think it's gonna get voted down. So I think we bring this forward so that we can show that we've been discussing it and that this was a proposal, and if the town says no, they say no. If they say yes, I think,
Have to go hire a blind enforcement officer.
that's gonna be a whole other thing. But I don't think it's got high likelihood of passing, but I do think we should bring it to the town for feedback from the town, because that's our form of government. We don't ultimately make the decisions, we make the recommendations to the town. So,
You guys have to make a motion.
So moved.
You gotta make the motion.
I move that we put the blight ordinance up for town vote.
I second the motion to move blight ordinance to town meeting.
Okay, so, the motion's been made and seconded to move the blight ordinance, to the town meeting, with in the way of having it voted for the extra cost of addition to
The
the
budget.
budget separately than that putting it in the budget.
Correct. So that way, if it's approved, it is added to the budget. If it's disapproved, the budget, it stands
So
alone.
what do you, finish that one? Do you want to finish that and then do the money part second, or you're doing it in one?
I don't know. Is there anything motion? I'm just
All
trying to
right, so
figure out.
the motion is basically to put the ordinance up for town vote along with our projected costs for it as a separate item within the budget.
How much is that?
We'll say a mill rate because frankly, we're just estimating what we think it's gonna cost. you know, you have to hire somebody, you know, they need lawyers and so forth, it could be less. But we have to put a
A
dollar.
good ballpark would be,
Not even just the lawyers, like if we pass the ordinance and we're like putting all these like liens on their property and they still don't do anything, we're gonna have, it's then our responsibility to tear the building down. So we would, if we went after every building in town this and they all refuse to do anything after a certain number of time, it's our fault if it's not taken care of, and we would have to pay to have every building lead remediated, asbestos remediated and torn down. So that's gonna be more than $350,000 if the blade enforcement officer is going after every house in town, that qualifies.
No, then we have to do them 1 or 2 houses a year.
So,
But after we spend that expenditure, that goes on as a lien on the
it
property.
does, but they don't have to sell it right away, they're still paying taxes, so they can sit on it for
50 years.
God only knows how long. So it could be a while before we even see that money done.
We'll explain that to the community, and maybe that will be the rod that causes people to call some of those blight owners up. To say, you know, what are you doing to us?
All right, so the motion's been made
Second.
and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Okay.
Okay, but it passes, so it's going forward. And we'll add it
So
to
we'll
our
have a public hearing.
public hearing. So we have the,
You're gonna have it with the budget hearing?
no, we have another public hearing we have to have too. For the there was something else that we passed, but I didn't see it.
For ordinances?
When we have that hearing for this ordinance, I would like to have a video of slide presentation of the properties that we have in mind. Along with their locations, and we record off the property tax slips.
I don't know if we can do that.
Who the owners are,
Find
can you
out.
check with the lawyer and find out if we can do that? We get it. Frankly, this is not to shame people.
I'll find out.
You live in the community, you've been here, your kids go to school here. You're
Actually,
responsible.
no, these, a lot of the houses that are on the list, they don't live here. So they're not even gonna see the slideshow, so.
Well, for the ones that do live here,
If there's
it's a
a
place to start. You have
name,
to
name
start.
and number or means of contacting them, hopefully someone reaches. Constituents reach out to
Because if
them.
we don't do anything, nothing's gonna ever change. So, you know.
Right,
maybe
it's not
it's
just us,
leverage.
I've talked to other towns, and they're all in the same, the only leverage you have is if they don't pay taxes, then you can do what you want with it, but I've talked, I was at a meeting with, a bunch of first selectmen in mayors talking about this, and they're all in the same. The only way they can get control over it is if they don't pay taxes. So. That's all. And then I have like Preston, they have a blade ordinance, but their blade ordinance, they, in order for anything to be done, they have to first, the people complaining have to come and fill out an application, and no one ever fills out an application, they haven't even had anything to deal with. So.
Because nobody wants to.
No one wants to put their name on it. So. It goes both ways. So.
Okay, so a public hearing for ordinance for blight and.
I can't remember what the other ordinance was. I gotta go look in my notes, but we did approve one already. I was to go forward for a public hearing.
And we're gonna do this separate from the budget hearing.
We have to do, yeah,
Because we have to have a public meeting.
I think we did the ordinance public meeting separate than the budget one before, so,
So we'll need to pick a date for that.
yeah.
Right, but then we vote on it at the
You're gonna vote out on.
annual town meeting.
So
You wanna pick a date for that?
I
or-
think we have budget timelines. When we get to that, we can work on our dates.
Okay.
We have tax refund.
It's right to the one we want.
Nissa J. Conan Cohen. $22.16. We reimburse it $23.16.
Okay, so the motion's been made,
And seconded.
reimburse 36 Bassett Mill Road, $23.16, and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We got I posted we put the job today, so it's out there. Cybersecurity, we had, cybersecurity, review today. The Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security is working with the military, cybersecurity unit, and they came in today and did with, Andrew from Apex and me and Julie, and we went through a bunch of questions, and they did a cybersecurity. I got the report in a couple of weeks, and it'll be followed with some recommendations.
Probably find out that into my harassment training. Yeah.
And now we're on the budget timeline. So we need to pick some dates for the public hearings, ordinance public hearings, and, the budget public hearing.
So our next meeting is April 22nd. Probably won't have the fire department until then. Hopefully we'll have the final expenditures anyway.
So if we have, are we still gonna do the town meeting on 5/20?
That was just tentative, this,
What date is that?
This,
Is that Tuesday?
that point. So the things you need to decide is, one, are you going to do, a referendum for this budget?
I wasn't planning on it, but with that ordinance, we should.
Okay, so that, if you decide that, you need to decide that tonight because you don't have the tabulator. We have to use the new tabulators on any referendum, and you need to talk to them and see if it's even possible. Because
Because they might not have them in by,
We might not have the tabulators in by then.
any referendums or anything has to be done on the new tabulator.
So I'll make a motion that we use the, referendum. Pending we can get the tabulators in time.
when will we know if we can get the tabulators? We have a feel for that?
Probably by the end of the week.
We'll have to,
Okay, then I second.
The motion's been made and seconded to,
The
go to
referendum,
referendum.
assuming we have tabulators
Assuming we can get that. But
on May 20th.
So,
on May 20th. So you're.
so we have to have the referendum has to be after. the
Oh, after
meeting.
meeting, so,
So, I would say
So we have a couple of public hearings we have to have, we still don't have a finalized budget, we don't have the school finalized budget.
so what we won't put
We
it
could
do.
do. I think last time,
It has to be a certain number of days after the town meeting.
so we need like 10 days between, because we need to notice it. So we need 10 days to get it into the paper. It needs to be 5 days before the referendum, but I need like 3 or 4 days. To get it to the paper, they take 3 or 4 days to get it in the paper, and it has to be at least 5 days before that, so you're about 10 days in between.
So we have to figure out,
I believe last time, in order for Dell to get
before June.
the tax bill, you have to have, I would say, first week in June would be the latest. If you're going to pass the budget without the revenue from the state. So you can do like sometime in June. Do the referendums are 1 day, correct? They don't need early voting for referendum, okay?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the week before. So by May 20th, we should have all the public hearing stuff by May 20th, that's the latest.
right,
So if you want to have, you can start having the public hearings at the beginning of May, like May 6th.
Okay.
well, we're in the middle of a motion right now. wanna,
The referendum, to go to referendum.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
we didn't, you didn't finalize that motion.
And you took the, did you say it without the date in
I did not say a date.
it? Okay,
So I second the motion to go to referendum,
yeah,
assuming we have the tabulators.
Yeah.
Date to be determined.
okay. Any second?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so public hearing for, I mean, you can do. Like April, maybe Tuesday, April 29th for the ordinances, and then. We've got another date for budget, May 6th for the budget.
I will be out of the country on this. But I'm sure you two can respond about.
For the budget?
Yeah.
So those would be, yeah, special meetings, or regular meetings.
Oh, wait, the first meeting in May.
May, actually, May 13th is the first meeting. Late this year. 13th and the 27th are the 2 meetings in May.
We want to move everything off to the 13th and the 27th.
Then you don't have any other selectmen meetings? Are you gonna do public hearing first and selectmen meetings after, or?
Yeah,
We can do that.
That before.
Yeah.
For the budget.
When do that, well, if you wanna do, we can do the ordinances before that, you can do like April 22nd even for the ordinances. We haven't done it out of the way. Or April 29th even.
April 29th.
For the budget. And then what would you do for the town meeting? 5:20. We have enough time to get that in the paper. So you have to have the public hearing, and then right after that, approve the call, you also have to approve the call.
We can do that the same night as the budget. We can do on that before. I forgot what time, but I had a date who was waiting for us, so I think it was.
Is there a particular reason you want to do the 20th as opposed to the 27th? For having,
So I think the 27th is more,
It's the day after Memorial Day
yeah, it's kind of.
for a town meeting.
I was just thinking, given the timeline, the time constraints, that Julie was flying back in.
And do the town meeting by the 20th in the first week in June, have the referendum. So you have time to get them out in the papers.
Yeah. You don't want to have. I think the 20th, the latest we can do the town meeting in order to have the referendum. First, we can do it all the time. And I think we've had one after Memorial Day, and it's just hard because we're not open on Monday, and it's just.
See if the referendum on location.
No, early in the.
Third. Well, provisionally, we'll always set those as the dates, and Julie finds out that,
Tabulators are a no-go.
Okay, so April 29th for the ordinance public hearing.
well, the tabulators only affect the referendum, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So it won't affect the date that's set for the ordinance or the public hearing, but
correct.
And the public hearings are,
the town, what doesn't affect the town meeting, the referendum can just be the letter date if the tabulated are unavailable, so that's the only dates.
so what happens if tabulators are delayed past June 3rd?
then you can't have a referendum.
Yeah, everything's going on at the time.
Okay,
Someone's gotta make the most happen.
So I have April 29th ordinance public hearing, May 13th budget public hearing, May 20th town meeting, and June 3rd referendum. Is that right?
yes.
I did leave it.
I move that we set the, do you want me to repeat all the dates?
That's good.
I move that we set the dates, April 29th for the ordinance, May 13th, public hearing. For the budget, May 20th for the town meeting, and followed by the referendum, 7th.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded, any discussion?
No,
All
No,
in favor?
aye.
aye. I make a motion to adjourn.
One second then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's over at 7:32.
And 2 minutes left for dinner.
Oh.